Lesson 8.3 is initial value, and this is what we've already talked about some and we've referred to as the y-intercept. This is where the graph of your line crosses the y-axis. So a linear function can be written in the form y is equal to mx plus b. You can see both the rate of change and the initial value, or the y-intercept, of the function in the equation. So we know that m represents the rate of change, or the slope, and b represents the initial value, which we also know is the y-intercept. You can also see both the rate of change and the initial value of the function in the graph. So we can see where the graph crosses the y-axis here is the initial value, or the y-intercept. And then we can pick 2 points and find rise over run to find the slope by looking at a graph. Alright, so here we're going to be asked to match each function below with its initial value. Well, we can look here and see that the initial value here is -2. This needs to be rewritten in y equals mx plus b form. The -3x comes first and the +3 comes last. So then the y-intercept, or the initial value of that one, is 3. Here, the initial value is also 3. And here, the initial value is +2. Okay? Now you can't just, back to letter B, you can't just assume that the initial value is -3 because that's the slope. The slope is always the coefficient of x, so that just needed to be written in the correct form for you to be able to find the y-intercept. Okay, identifying parts of linear functions from the verbal description. Josie has 1.5 cups of water in her watering can. She fills the can before watering her plants. Water flows into the watering can at a rate of 1 cup every 4 seconds. The graph represents the function described in words. Okay, so what's the slope here? How do we find the slope? Well, we can find any 2 points. So I'm going to use this point here, and let's see if we can find another perfect one. Here's a pretty perfect one here. Alright, so this point is 10, 4, and this point is 26, 8. So we're going to find the rise over run. Alright, from 4 to 8, how much does it go up? We go up from 4 to 6 is 2, and from 6 to 8 is 2, so we go up 4. And then from 10 to 26, we go over 16. So the rise over run is 4 over 16, which simplifies to 1/4, right? We could have found that from the description too, because the rate, that tells me the rate of change, or the slope, is 1 cup every 4 seconds. So that would have been 1 cup every 4 seconds. Alright, so that's the rate of change. That also represents the slope. The y-intercept of the line is going to be where it says that she started with, she had 1.5 cups of water in her watering can. So here, this represents her y-intercept. So that's going to be, her initial point is 1.5 cups. So that's the y-intercept, and it's the same as the initial value. So if I know the slope is 1/4, I'm going to write my equation. Y is equal to 1/4 x plus 1.5, which is what she started with. So this would be the function rule for that equation. Alright, that's kind of what you need to know in lesson 8.3 with initial